Hey guys, my name is Megan. Today we're going to be talking about the Kemp model. It's also called the Morrison, Ross, and Kemp model, or MRK for short. What is the Kemp model? The Kemp model is a circular rather than linear design model. Pictured here are the 9 elements of the model. They are interdependent, which means they don't have to be in any particular order for the learning system to be designed. It is a continuous cycle with revisions ongoing throughout the development of the lesson. It is learner-centered. You can see the learner questions listed there as well. The history of the Kemp model. It was developed in 1985, has since been updated. It was developed by Morrison, Ross, and Kemp, with Jerry Kemp being known as the father of the design model. It goes to the perspective of the learners, and since its original design in 85, it has been updated and is used in incorporation with other design models. It incorporates both behavioral and cognitive approaches. Because the developers said that there's never one perfect approach to solving an instructional design problem or instructional design model. I provided 2 lessons. This is the first one. This is a 3rd grade lesson on the phases of the moon. On the left-hand side, it does list all the phases, or all the units, all the steps, I guess I should say, of the Kemp model. And on the right-hand side of the table is how that teacher filled in to meet those needs. So you start with your instructional problems, would be your misconceptions, why you're teaching this lesson, because the student doesn't know something. Then you move into the learner characteristics. You describe your learners, who they are, where they are, prior knowledge, things that they may or may not already know. Then you begin with your task components. What will they be able to do? What are the goals that you want them to accomplish through this lesson? So more of students will be able to by the time this lesson is over. The current slide that you see is the latter half of the lesson 1, which is continuing on the 9 steps. The next step after the subject, content, and task is your instructional objectives. So, in my opinion, an instructional objective is your I can statements, your essential questions, are the things that you'll be discussing in that component of the lesson. The next step, this is lesson 2 on the respiratory system. I'm going to continue going through these slides with you. Sequencing content, so the order in which your students will perform the task. So what will the students learn? What order will they learn them in? And so forth. Instructional strategies. What will your students be doing in the classroom? What will it look like? This one mentions they will be imagining themselves in a capsule, tracking the course of the respiratory system, and write a story. So it's a little bit of a hands-on approach. The last 4 moves into instructional message and delivery. So how are you delivering the content? How are you teaching the lesson? Are you using a PowerPoint? Or is it teacher lecture? Are you, letting them read through a book, a video? That goes in that component. Then you have your evaluation. How are you grading them? I like to start with the evaluation when I'm planning a lesson. So I could use the Kemp model because it is circular. I can start anywhere I want to. The resources that you use, pretty, pen and paper, computer, projector, and then the ongoing process is always the same: planning, revising, evaluation, and management. Kemp's big thing is that it's an ongoing process. It can always be modified and changed to fit the needs of the learners, which I think is great, especially because you never know what's going to step foot in your classroom. These are the steps. I've gone through them a little bit when I was talking about the lesson plans. But step 1 is to identify the instructional problems and the goals. So what is it that you need to teach? You may want to conduct a needs assessment or a goal analysis. Next is examine your audience. Describe the demographics of the learners, the background knowledge. After that, number 3, analyze subject content. Consider a real-world application. How can they apply this? Number 4, define the cognitive and the behavioral skills a learner will perform. Number 5, the order of your content. You just logically sequence it. Put it in order. But be sure to include the variables. Number 6, describe how to present the material. Like I said, presentation. Number 7 is plan the instruction delivery. So how are you going to introduce it to your students? Number 8 is your evaluation tool. And then number 9 is going to be your resources, what you use to teach your lesson. It's always a good thing to keep in mind so that other teachers can use your models and your methods. For the practical development, moving right along in that next slide coming up, I looked at the Kemp model on the right, and then I put my model on the left, just so that I actually worked through his model myself and determined how I would incorporate it and how I would use it to just teach someone to build a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Thought that was a great example and an easy way to go through and use his method and his model. The last slide is going to be my resource slide. I really hope that you guys enjoyed my presentation.